The story of the Thursday Murder Club takes place in a quiet but elegant retirement village in England called Cooper's Chase. On the surface, it seems like a peaceful place where elderly people can enjoy their final years in comfort. The village has landscaped gardens, modern houses, and social activities for its residents. But behind this calm appearance lies a surprising amount of mystery, conflict, and even danger. The film follows four main characters who live in Cooper's Chase. They are Elizabeth Best, a sharp and mysterious former spy; Ibrahim Arif, a calm and logical retired psychiatrist; Ron Ritchie, a fiery former trade union leader who still loves a fight; and Joyce Meadowcroft, a recently retired nurse who is friendly, chatty, and often underestimated. Together, they form a small group that calls itself the Thursday Murder Club. Every Thursday, the group meets in a small room with old case files that were once kept by a retired policewoman. Their hobby is unusual but exciting. They study cold cases, trying to solve murders that the police never managed to finish. For them, it is a way to keep their minds active, and for Elizabeth, it is also a chance to use her cleverness and hidden skills. At first, the club only works on old files, such as the unsolved murder of a woman named Angela Hughes in the 1970s. They enjoy piecing together evidence, arguing over theories, and imagining how the crimes might have happened. But everything changes when a real murder suddenly occurs very close to home. Cooper's Chase is run by a man named Ian Ventham, a businessman with big ambitions and little concern for others. Ian wants to expand the retirement village and turn nearby land into more luxury apartments. This would bring him a lot of money, but his plans upset many residents who enjoy the current peace and dislike his greed. Ian also has a business partner named Tony Curran, who has a criminal past and is not afraid of using threats and violence. Tony does not agree with Ian's redevelopment plans, and the two men argue constantly. Everyone in the village knows about their feud, and it seems only a matter of time before something goes wrong. That moment comes when Tony Curran is found murdered in his home. He has been beaten to death, and the village is thrown into shock. The police arrive to investigate, led by Detective Chief Inspector Chris Hudson and his assistant, PC Donna DeFreitas. Suspicion quickly falls on Ian Ventham, since he had the most to gain from Tony's death. Without Tony in the way, Ian could move forward with his building project and make a fortune. But the police do not have enough evidence to charge him. The Thursday Murder Club, however, sees this as their chance to finally work on a live case instead of an old one. They throw themselves into the investigation with excitement and determination. Elizabeth uses her intelligence and secretive past to dig up information, often in ways that surprise even the police. Joyce, who is new to the group, finds herself growing more and more interested in detective work, and she records everything in her diary. Ibrahim carefully analyzes people's behavior and motives, while Ron uses his loud personality to get answers that others might be too polite to demand. Together, the four friends begin to uncover details that the police either miss or cannot obtain. For them, solving the case is not just about justice. It is about proving that they are still sharp, useful, and capable of doing extraordinary things even in their old age. Just when the group is starting to make progress, another shocking event rocks Cooper's Chase. Ian Ventham himself suddenly dies during a public event in the village. He collapses and is rushed to hospital, but it is too late. Tests show that Ian has been poisoned with fentanyl, a powerful drug. The news spreads quickly. There has been a second murder, and once again it involves the most important figures in the retirement village. Now the police have two deaths to solve, and the Thursday Murder Club feels even more determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. While investigating Tony's and Ian's deaths, the club also makes a discovery connected to one of their cold cases. On the grounds near the old convent that once stood where Cooper's Chase is now, a skeleton is uncovered. It turns out to be the remains of Peter Mercer, a man who was suspected decades earlier of killing Angela Hughes, but who escaped justice. His body being found after so many years raises a whole new set of questions. Who killed Peter Mercer? And why was his body buried in secret? Could this old case somehow be linked to the new murders of Tony and Ian? As the club digs deeper, the truth begins to emerge piece by piece. The murder of Tony Curran was committed by Bogdan Jankowski, a Polish handyman who works around the village. Bogdan is well liked by many of the residents, and he often plays chess with Elizabeth's husband, Stephen. On the surface, he seems loyal and kind, but Tony had been controlling him by keeping his passport and using threats. Bogdan felt trapped and desperate, and in the end, he killed Tony to free himself. His confession comes out accidentally when he is playing chess, and Elizabeth eventually learns the truth. Although Bogdan is guilty, his situation makes him more of a tragic figure than a villain, and the club treats his case with understanding rather than harsh judgment. Ian Ventham's death, however, has a different explanation. The discovery of Peter Mercer's skeleton reveals that his death had been covered up for decades. The person responsible was Penny Gray, a former police detective who had once been involved in the Angela Hughes case. Penny was frustrated that Mercer had escaped justice and continued to live freely after committing such a terrible crime. She decided to take matters into her own hands and killed him. Her husband, John Gray, helped her bury the body and keep the secret. Now, years later, Penny is in a hospice, comatose and close to death, while John lives quietly in the village. When Ian's redevelopment plans threatened to dig up the land and uncover Mercer's body, John felt cornered. He wanted to protect Penny's reputation and keep her secret safe, even at the cost of his own conscience. Out of love and loyalty, John poisoned Ian with fentanyl. For him, it was not just about hiding the crime, but also about protecting the woman he had loved for his whole life. The truth is heartbreaking. Penny killed for justice, John killed for love, and both deaths were the result of a chain of events that began decades earlier. When everything finally comes out, the resolution is bittersweet. Bogdan's crime is quietly handled, without dramatic arrests or trials, as the club and the police accept the complex reasons behind his actions. Penny and John, meanwhile, do not live to face consequences. Penny remains unconscious, and John, filled with guilt and sorrow, takes his own life with fentanyl. Together they are buried, and the Thursday Murder Club attends their funeral. At the service, Joyce is officially welcomed as a permanent member of the club, replacing Penny, and the group is complete once again with 4 active members. The future of Cooper's Chase also hangs in the balance. With both Tony and Ian dead, the ownership of the village passes to Bobby Tanner, a shady man with criminal connections. He considers selling the land for profit, which would once again threaten the residents' peaceful lives. But Elizabeth, ever the strategist, has a plan. She suggests that Joyce's daughter, Joanna, could buy the property instead, ensuring that the village remains safe and that the residents will not be driven out by greedy developers. It is a hopeful ending that shows how the club not only solves crimes, but also protects their community. The story of the Thursday Murder Club is more than just a mystery about murders. It is also a story about friendship, love, and the value of older people who are often ignored by society. The 4 main characters show that age does not take away intelligence, courage, or curiosity. Elizabeth uses her spy-like cleverness, Ibrahim relies on his calm logic, Ron brings his passion, and Joyce adds warmth and surprising insight. Together, they prove that teamwork and life experience can solve problems that even the police cannot. The murders themselves are not simple matters of good and evil. Bogdan killed Tony because he was trapped and desperate. Penny killed Mercer because the law had failed, and she wanted justice for Angela Hughes. John killed Ian because of his deep love for his wife and his wish to protect her memory. These actions are crimes, but they are also human responses to fear, love, and anger. The film invites the audience to think about the difference between justice and the law, and to ask whether some crimes can be understood even if they cannot be excused. In the end, the Thursday Murder Club continues on, stronger than ever. The residents of Cooper's Chase return to their routines, but the four friends remain ready for new mysteries. The story is warm, funny, and emotional, blending the charm of elderly characters with the thrill of a crime drama. It shows that even in a retirement village, life can still be full of excitement, danger, and purpose. Most of all, it celebrates the idea that growing old does not mean growing invisible. The Thursday Murder Club proves that sharp minds and brave hearts never lose their power, no matter how many birthdays have passed.